Welcome to the official channel for Sheikh Hamdan's fans, where we delve into the captivating world of the royal family and share the latest updates on their lives. Now, I want to share a personal story, one that has remained hidden from prying eyes. It's a tale of unexpected connections and the unspoken understanding between two people. The world may have speculated, but only we knew the truth, and now, I'm the sole keeper of that secret. It began with a fleeting moment, a lingering glance, a hesitant tone, a seemingly insignificant instant that altered everything. I tried to convince myself it was mere imagination, but deep down, I knew better. The dynamics had shifted, she was different, and so was I initially. I chose to ignore it, but I wore a mask of indifference, pretending that nothing was amiss, that she wasn't slowly drifting away, and that her laughter still rang true. But love doesn't dissipate overnight. Something had shifted, a subtle fracture that I couldn't quite put my finger on. And then, one fateful night, I stumbled upon the truth, not in words or confessions, but in the deafening silence that followed a single, piercing question. Is there something you're not telling me? Her lips parted, her breath caught, and in that fleeting instant before she could muster a response, I knew. The truth hung in the air, a palpable force that neither of us could ignore. She had a secret, one that she desperately sought to keep hidden. And I was faced with a choice: to pursue the truth, no matter how devastating it might be, or to remain in the darkness of ignorance. Her silence was a revelation, a hesitation that spoke volumes. She wasn't searching for the truth, she was searching for an escape route. I exhaled slowly, my voice measured. Tell me. Her eyes darted, her hands gripping the edge of the table as if it were a lifeline. Tell you what? She stammered, her voice a barely audible whisper. I knew it was a stall, a desperate attempt to keep me from uncovering the truth. You're hiding something, I accused, my tone firm but controlled. Her throat constricted as she swallowed, a barely perceptible movement. You're imagining things, she countered, her voice laced with a hint of desperation. I almost laughed at the absurdity of her denial. We locked eyes, the air thick with tension, as we engaged in a silent game of cat and mouse. Finally, she sighed, her voice barely above a whisper. You don't want to know. A shiver ran down my spine as I realized that wasn't a denial, it was a warning. I leaned forward, my voice low and urgent, but I do. Her fingers curled into fists, her eyes darting away as if seeking an escape from the truth. The silence that followed was oppressive, a heavy blanket that suffocated us both. I knew then that I had to push forward, no matter the cost, for the truth was a siren's call that I couldn't ignore. Her whisper was laced with a hint of desperation, a fragile plea that hung in the air like a challenge. If I tell you, you won't look at me the same way again. My gut twisted into a knot, a sense of foreboding settling in like a shroud. I knew, deep down, that she was right, that the truth she harbored had the power to shatter the delicate balance of our relationship. But it was too late for the retreat. I was resolute, driven by a hunger for the truth, no matter how unpalatable it might be. The room seemed to shrink, the walls closing in as the tension between us grew. She still refused to meet my gaze, her eyes fixed on the floor as if the words themselves might take on a life of their own, becoming real and unassailable the moment they were spoken. Her whispered warning echoed through my mind. If I tell you, you won't look at me the same way again. Little did she know, I already didn't. I leaned back, feigning calmness, my eyes locked on hers. Say it anyway. Her hands trembled, then curled into fists. The silence between us was oppressive, heavy with unspoken secrets. Finally, she spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. It wasn't supposed to happen this way. A vague answer, a deflection, but it was enough. I clenched my jaw, my mind racing with the implications. Something had happened, something she'd kept hidden. I forced my voice to remain steady. What wasn't supposed to happen? She swallowed hard, her eyes darting away. Us. My stomach twisted, a cold realization settling in. She didn't mean the relationship, she meant something more profound, something that transcended the two of us. I stared at her, waiting for answers, but she refused to meet my gaze. You planned this, didn't you? I whispered, my voice laced with accusations. She flinched, a barely perceptible movement, but it was all the confirmation I needed. This, whatever it was, had never been real, at least, not for her. And now, I have to know why. She finally looked up, and for the first time, I saw it. Guilt, not regret, not sorrow, but the weight of someone caught before they were ready to confess. "You planned this, didn't you?" I repeated, my voice quieter, more menacing. She didn't nod, she didn't deny it. She simply stared at me, searching my face as if trying to decide how much I already knew. I had to push her. "Tell me the truth," I demanded, my voice firm but controlled. From the beginning. Her lips parted slightly, but the words didn't come. I waited, my patience wearing thin, because this time, she had no way out. She exhaled shakily, rubbing her palms against her thighs. "When I met you," she started, but stopped, rewriting the story in real time, choosing her words carefully, deciding how much of the truth I deserved to hear. I clenched my jaw, my frustration simmering just below the surface. "Just say it," I growled. Her breath hitched, and then, finally, she whispered, "I wasn't supposed to fall for you." A shiver ran down my spine, because that wasn't the confession I was expecting, and yet, it still told me everything. I let the words settle, letting their meaning twist through me. "You're saying this wasn't real?" I asked, my voice steady, but my heart racing with anticipation. She hesitated, and in that moment, I knew the truth was something I wasn't ready for. "It wasn't supposed to be," she whispered, her voice. "Who's behind this?" I asked, my tone measured, yet laced with a hint of curiosity. Her response was a hushed caution, "You're better off not knowing." But my instinct screamed otherwise. I sensed a hidden puppeteer, manipulating the strings from the shadows. "Share the truth," I coaxed, my voice a gentle prod, urging her to reveal the mysteries she guarded. She hesitated, then whispered, "It's already too late." The words dropped like a bombshell, their impact rippling through me. "What do you mean?" I demanded, my pulse racing. "They know," she whispered, her eyes wide with fear. The room seemed to shrink, the air thickening with tension. I leaned in, my voice a whispered promise, "I'll protect you." But she just shook her head, her eyes darting toward the door, as if she knew we were running out of time. I strived to maintain a sense of composure, but my mind was racing. "Am I already in danger?" I asked, my tone laced with a growing sense of unease. Her lips parted, but the words refused to come, and the silence that followed spoke volumes. I pushed back from the table, my eyes darting toward the door. If she was telling the truth, if someone was indeed listening, watching, and waiting, then I needed to escape, now. But she grasped my wrist, her fingers wrapping around it like a vice. "Listen to me," she whispered urgently. I froze, my heart pounding in my chest. "What am I supposed to do?" I whispered back, my voice barely audible. She took a slow, shaky breath, and then finally, she spoke. "You have to trust me," she murmured, her eyes locked onto mine with a desperate intensity. I scrutinized her, searching for a glimmer of sincerity. Trust? After the web of lies, the fabricated history, the pretended love? It seemed like a cruel joke. Yet, as I gazed into her eyes, I realized that trust might not be the real question. The real question was, did I have a choice? My chest tightened as I pondered the thought. She was the one who had deceived me, who had hidden the truth until it was too late. Now, she expected me to believe she was on my side? I should have walked away, but a spark of fear ignited within me. If she was scared, I should be terrified. "Why should I trust you?" I asked, my voice measured, as I carefully extricated my wrist from her grasp. Her fingers trembled, but her grip remained firm. "Because I'm the only one who wants you alive," she whispered, her words hitting me like a cold wind. I barely blinked before she continued, her voice low and urgent. "You were never supposed to find out, not like this." "Find out what?" I wondered, as she glanced toward the door, her eyes scanning the room as if searching for an unseen threat. My stomach twisted with unease. Were we being watched? She turned back to me, her grip tightening. "You need to listen," she murmured, her voice barely audible. "There's no time to argue." She slipped something into my hand, a small, cold key. I frowned, confused. "What's this?" I asked, but she didn't answer. Instead, she leaned in, her lips barely moving. Her whispered words tumbled out in a frantic rush. "Get out, now. Find the locker at Grand Station. Everything you need to know is inside. The urgency in her voice was palpable, but it was the sharp knock at the door that made my heart skip a beat. She paled, her eyes wide with fear, and I knew in that instant that she hadn't been lying. We were running out of time. The knock came again, louder, more insistent. It wasn't a polite request, it was a warning. Her breath caught in her throat, her eyes locked onto mine with a desperate plea. "Don't open it." The whisper was barely audible, but the message was clear. We both knew that the door wouldn't remain closed for long. The weight of the truth I was about to uncover felt crushing, suffocating. Grand Station, a locker, a cryptic message. She had given me a lifeline, but would she escape unscathed? The knocks grew louder, more insistent, and a voice, deep in control, sent shivers down my spine. "We know you're in there." My chest tightened, my mind racing with questions. Who was on the other side of the door? How much time did I have before they forced their way in? The silence that followed was oppressive, heavy with anticipation. I knew I had to act, and fast. The clock was ticking, and I was running out of time. Her eyes blazed with urgency as she grasped my wrist, her voice a low, husky whisper. "You have to leave, now." I stood firm, refusing to budge. "I'm not going anywhere without answers." Her grip tightened, her fingers digging into my skin. "You don't have time for answers," she warned, her gaze darting toward the door. The sound of footsteps echoed outside, growing louder with each passing moment. The door creaked, the lock straining against the pressure. She shoved me toward the back of the apartment, her voice a desperate whisper. "Window, fire escape, go." I hesitated, my eyes locked on hers. "What about you?" The silence that followed was deafening, a stark reminder of the sacrifice she was willing to make. The door groaned, the lock on the verge of giving way. I had mere seconds to escape. I cast one last glance at her, then turned and ran. The night air slapped me like a cold fist as I descended the fire escape, my feet clanging against the metal rungs. Above me, the door burst open, shouting and heavy boots thundering through the apartment. I didn't dare look back, my heart racing with fear. I hit the ground running, my feet pounding the pavement as I sprinted into the unknown. The darkness swallowed me whole, but I didn't stop. I couldn't stop. Grand Station was my only hope, my only chance to unravel the tangled thread